It's Widdish, back with another one. As of late, I've been thinking a lot about being creative in the avenue of music, and I've generally over the past couple of days, I've had a very positive kind of outlook. Let me turn this down. Yeah, on my future in music. By the way, I don't intend to be like a rock star or whatever. I just at best my most positive outlook in the music sort of space is me being in a band and me being fulfilled in everything that pertains to being a band, just without the extreme monetary sort of expectations or whatever, you know. Just literally being a band, being part of a group. I've been thinking about that a lot, as you can tell from like the past two videos that I put out in succession. And now I'm kind of in the dumps a little bit. I'm down in the dumps right now. Like I told you in the previous one. One day I'll feel very happy about it, and then the next day I'll just be very, upset about um where I stand when it comes to creating. Where I stand when it comes to creating. Period. Well, music. Yeah, I love creating pedals. That's not a problem. But there is an itch that I need to scratch. Right, when it comes to music and on music creation for me. And today I'm just very down. I'm just very down regarding the whole thing. Um, like, well, why even do anything, dude? Why even do anything? You know, why do anything? Because I was watching a video today. I could name drop the YouTube. I don't really feel like it doesn't really matter. I don't want to clutter you. That's the main thing that I'm trying to address now. Is clutter, right? There's just so much out there, and not just in music, just in life. Like, why even do anything in life? No, yeah, dude. It's it's overwhelming and selfish. Again, I touched on the whole selfish thing. This time around, I guess I just want to focus on how overwhelming it can be. The dude was talking about music that he enjoyed throughout the year, right? And it was just so much. It was just so much music he spoke about. And then that made me not realize, don't get me wrong, just remember just how and I don't want to use the word saturated, because that now suggests that I'm above, like subconsciously that suggests that I'm above them and that whatever I have to offer is better than what they have to offer. No, I don't want to use that word um saturation or saturated, because it has been used in a very demeaning um context, you know. Truthfully speaking, it has been used in a very negative, demeaning, undermining connotation. So I don't want to use it. But there is an overabundance of everything, not just music, right? Take being a doctor for an example, especially in my country. But I've seen that this is the case for like a lot of other countries as well. And this is the norm actually for pretty much every country now that I think about it. You have to outperform your peers, whoever you're doing it with, right? You have to outperform them so that you get the thing, you get to be the doctor, and then and so that they don't. You know, you have to outperform them so that you're favored and then they're not. You know, the whole competition sort of principle that we operate with is just, I'm not a big fan of it, bro. And I've never been a huge fan of competition. Just having to, just the idea or the principle of there having to be a winner and a loser. You know, I've never really liked that. That's why I'm not a huge fan of sports. You know, there's a clear winner and then there's a clear loser. There's one who gets to be the victor, and then there's one who gets to, go home and cry and be upset. There has to be one who's better, and then there has to be one who's worse. You know, that's what I don't like. And just thinking about how life itself pretty much, operates on operates on that principle, bro. It's so upsetting for a guy like me who's not a fan of competition. You know, if you want to be a teacher, you need to, outdo your peers again. You need to study better than your peers. You have to, so that you get to go to the prestigious university and that they don't, and that you go on to, you know, study and be a great teacher, and they're just met with closed doors because all the good spots are occupied by, much much more capable people, much better teachers, you know. And obviously I'm not blaming the person with the most aspiration, the person who puts in the most work. I guess I'm just trying to um call out this whole principle, man. It's not cool. Now we can bring it back to music now, which is, an avenue that I'm unfortunately interested in. It's the same thing, you know. Even worse with the music, you're not necessarily competing for money. You're competing for attention, which is even, it's a lot worse than, a more typical kind of career path. Obviously, off of the I say obviously, but not not every band or like every musical act gets to this point. But ultimately, the attention is supposed to convert into funding and whatnot, right? In this day and age, streams are supposed to convert into, payment. Before streaming, people going to your concert. Well, that still applies today. I just brought up the main one that people often cite as um the most important thing, I guess, for musicians right now is streaming. But yeah, before that, concerts, the attention that you garnered would lead to people heading to concerts of yours and, paying to see you and stuff. So ultimately, the attention would convert into payment, right? Which is cool, I guess. It's the path that one chooses. It's cool. But the whole premise of having to outdo your contemporaries or whatever, it sucks. Because I started thinking about how if I were to, get a band together or whatever, for us to be successful, another act needs to suffer. Because there's no way that a listener is gonna listen to a million musical acts. they're gonna have to listen to a few, you know. Say you're an avid music listener, you're gonna listen to hundreds maybe at most. No person has listened to thousands and thousands of artists. In your lifetime, you're most probably gonna listen at most, you're most probably gonna listen to upwards of 100 actively listening to, like actively, not just passively having in the background or whatever. I'm talking about actively. You're reading the lyrics. You're completely invested in the band, not just in a financial, realm, but you're invested in everything that they have to offer. Their music videos, their interviews. You're gonna consume about. You're gonna listen to about 100 bands at most, right? Meaning that millions are excluded. So if I am to, start my own thing, it would mean that I am imposing on the general, you know, pool of listeners. Yeah, I just don't like that. I just don't like it. Just don't like it. It's not cool. I don't like it so much to the point where I might not even do it ultimately. So obviously, if I'm to adopt that way of thinking, I could expand out on literally everything else regarding my life. Like I spoke about in the previous video. You can literally apply that to every single thing. There's like millions of people doing it. I don't have to do it. You know, literally every single sort of path you take, every avenue you try to take, be it creative or traditional, or standard or whatever. There's millions and millions, if not billions, of people already doing that. So to adopt that way of thinking isn't gonna, you know, it's not gonna lead anywhere, because all it means is that I don't ever get to do anything, because I feel like we have enough people already doing it. You know. But with that being said, still, it's gonna be hard for me to try to compete hard in, for a couple of reasons. In every sense of the word, it's gonna be difficult to pull that off, and then in addition to that, it's gonna be hard for me to have to do it, to bring myself to do it, to impose. Again, you might be thinking, dude, if you're having such a hard time doing it, then you shouldn't be doing it. It's evident that I have some sort of desire to do it. It's evident, but doing it is the hard part. It's competitive, it's selfish, it's self-centered, It's ignorant. You know how much music you have to ignore for you to be a musician? Because you can't honestly tell me that you've listened to every single song there ever was. Not even the music that's directly you know in your field of genre, in your sort of realm, musical realm. It's ignorant. It's selfish. You're heading in there going, okay, I don't listen to that music, but you're gonna listen to my music, and you're not gonna listen to that music. You're gonna listen to my music. It's very self-indulgent. I'm gonna wrap this video up at 20 minutes. I don't know why I keep saying that because you can obviously see the length of the video. But I guess I'm trying to put a cap on myself. No cap though. Another thing that kind of bothers me is that, musicians often, and not by design on their end, but they often make music for musicians, which is backwards in my opinion. Because personally, I want to make music for a person who isn't necessarily um who isn't a musician. They can be creative in other avenues, but I'm not dying to make music for a person who makes music. That's kind of counterintuitive, I feel. But then I went on to realize that we as people, we're very creative species. So chances are, you're creating music for musicians and whatnot, which sucks, but you have to accept it. Or at the very least, creative people. You know. But the bright side is that seeing as they appreciate and they recognize creativity more than the average person, your creative sort of choices and your creative I don't know, DNA I guess isn't lost on people. Some people get it, People get it is what I'm trying to say. Nothing that you're making is being lost. Someone's getting it. It's kind of like a chef being upset that all the people that they prepare meals for at some point in time prepare meals for themselves. Yes, you know, you're gonna find people who prepare meals for themselves, but they go out to a chef because they require a particular or a more, not necessarily a better sort of meal, but a different kind of meal that they can only get by you. So that's a more comforting way of looking at it. Even though the analogy is not completely strong because you have to eat, you know, you have to eat. You don't necessarily have to listen to music, but you have to eat, right? But I think I still make my point. So yeah, I don't know, man. I anticipate that I'm gonna struggle with this for another little while. So it's not just gonna go away overnight. By the way, never mind the whole 20-minute thing. I'm gonna struggle with this for a while. And I think I'm always gonna struggle with this unless I change my environment. Because right now I'm just an individual thinking all of these thoughts. I feel like if I pair myself, or not pair, but I group myself with some individuals, some like-minded individuals, my at the very least my mindscape rather will change for the better. Because then I'll have, brothers and sisters to uh battle these thoughts with, you know. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.